Warning, this episode contains strong language and spoilers from Metal Gear Solid 5. It's also missing about 2 minutes due to my audio program acting up a little bit, and that's unfortunate. I've cut it together as best as I can. Please enjoy this week's episode. Thank you for your understanding as we deal with technical difficulties. Hello and welcome to PauseCast, episode 15. It's September 22nd, 2016. I'm Jessica Alouette, and I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Mark Henna, I use he, him. Welcome.
So Rise of Iron happened this week. Destiny has got its claws in me once again. And I think that game is finally clicking for me.
Yeah? Have you not really gotten into it in the past?
I had. I'd gotten into it solo, and I really enjoyed it solo. Here's the thing.
It's a game made to be played with other people, right?
Kinda, yeah. And now that I'm playing it with, I've got friends in Australia that I'm playing with now. So it's like, now I'm starting to get why Destiny has had its hooks in people for so long. Because, hot damn, it's fun to play with other people.
Yeah, I think my younger brother has played literally over 50 hours of Destiny. He's got a whole bunch of friends who he plays it with, based overseas.
50 hours doesn't seem like much.
Sorry, I misspoke. 50 days. So multiply that by 24.
That's a little bit more impressive.
It is, isn't it? So that's,
Yeah.
I think, 50 times 24? That 1,200 hours, does that sound right?
Doing the math real quick. Yeah, 1,200 hours. Sounds about
right.
That's a
lot.
That's actually more than the staff at Kotaku combined have put into that game. No, that's not a goof 'em up. That's a thing. They released how many hours the collective staff have played of Destiny. It was about 1,500. So a little bit less. But still, one person playing about the equivalent of several full-time working adults.
At least they're not full-time working on playing Destiny. I don't think he'd come close to that. That would take effort. A lot more effort.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would take a lot more effort to be doing full-time Destiny. So I imagine there's some people who do it though.
Really?
Is the thing. Well, there's a competitive scene for everything.
But okay.
There's a whole multiplayer thing. I could totally see there being competitive a competitive Destiny scene, especially now that they've gotten private matches and stuff going.
It's more that you need somebody to pay you to do it full time so you can also live.
Esports sponsorships are a hell of a thing. I wouldn't be surprised if, again, now that we have private matches cropping up, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing competitive players in that scene coming up.
So this Rise of Iron, am I right that it's the second expansion that's now coming out 2 years after Destiny came out? Is that right? Sorry,
this is technically the fourth one.
Fourth expansion. Oh wow, there's more than I thought. Having not played Destiny, I should say, I don't have a console, so I haven't been able to play it. It
got 2 in its first year, 1 for year 2,
right.
And 1 for this. Rise of Iron marks the start of year 3.
Yeah.
Wow, I have talked a lot about Destiny, and we haven't even officially gotten into the show.
That's right. Do we need to ask now what you've been playing?
Well, I've been playing Destiny. You might have heard about this video game in the past, I don't know, few months. You might have heard of it a couple of years ago when it first came out. Polygon gave it a solid 6 out of 10.
Wow, that's something.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, the initial version of Destiny was not all that great.
Yeah, I remember the loot cave, or at least hearing about it.
Especially compared to what Destiny would become with the Taken King.
Right, now that was its first expansion?
This was its...
The Taken King was...
The Taken King was year 2.
Okay.
So for the first year, it was a little bit rough around the edges.
Yeah, I remember reading that it really found its feet once it came out with its first raid.
Yeah, because that started like putting a real challenge towards people because that shit's intended for 6 players, which is pretty standard MMO raid size, but still. Um,
And I remember
and
having not played it again, only read about it, that it had some actual interesting, more than just shoot these things till they die stuff in it. And they'd sort of started to go off and do some more, and then more complex things perhaps.
yeah, I think that's helped Destiny find its feet quite a
Mm-hmm.
bit. But I've been playing that this week. I finished off Call of Duty Black Ops 3,
Cool.
otherwise known as Deplorable Politics Simulator 2015. Gotta tell you, it's very bad.
It's Call of Duty. I'm not surprised.
I've told you this story, but there was one Call of Duty once that questioned its own internal politics, and it starred Kevin Spacey. um, so that was a whole fun situation. That video game was actually extremely good though. I enjoyed Call of Duty Advanced Warfare starring Kevin Spacey.
Cool.
Which is, I still think that it's weird that Kevin Spacey is just inexplicably in a video game.
Well, is it really inexplicable? He's just acting a character.
Yeah, but like you don't often see kind of big name stars like that
No,
in
you
video
don't.
games. We have kind of the video game community has kind of its own insular set of stars. Like we're talking your Nolan Norths, your Troy Bakers, your Jennifer Hales.
Mm.
Like there's this subset, I want to say, of culture or of popular culture in games, and this subset of stars. Um, but we don't see any kind of normal Hollywood stars in games that often.
No, it's true.
Though Kiefer Sutherland was very welcome in Metal Gear Solid 5.
I don't know who that is, but it's me. That's not surprising.
Yeah, I believe he did 24, I want to say.
What's 24?
It was a television series that was very popular. Yep,
Oh,
24.
yeah. No, I remember watching an episode or two of that and actually being horrified.
Yeah.
um,
Uh,
they were not intentional watches. It was, oh, this is on. Oh, wow, this is violent.
yeah, Kiefer Sutherland stars in 24. Um, and then he voiced Snake in Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think he did a better job than David Hayter. I'm not gonna lie. I part of me enjoys the goofiness of Hayter, but part of me really, really doesn't and prefers the more serious take that Sutherland brought.
I don't even
So
know if
hey,
I noticed it was a different voice actor.
that's fair. Okay. Enough about me. Holy shit. Mark,
Yeah.
tell me, what have you been playing this week?
So I picked Monster Hunter back up a bit. I've gotten up now to Hunter Rank 7, which is the top tier of difficulty for quests, although the game's hinted that there's more later, so I'm guessing there's like a part 2 of that. I've been trying out the 4th hunting style, which is like the 4th move set, which I'd left at first because it sounded like it was difficult to get the hang of, but I'm really enjoying that. I also picked up a new game it's been, well, new for me. It's been on my wish list for a little while and it came on sale. I picked up a game called Moon Hunters, which, oh, wow, this is like made for me. I had a lot of fun. I've only played like an hour and a half of it last night, but I really enjoyed that a lot. I get the feeling I played another game at some point since our last episode. But right now, I can't remember what it was. What was it? Have I mentioned another one to you?
I don't know. It's been 2 weeks, so you
It has.
almost definitely have a video game that you've played since our last episode.
It's possible I haven't. I've been reading a lot of my book as well.
That's fair. And what is this book?
Oh, I remember what the other game was. That was Halcyon 6.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
So it's another one that I picked up. This is... So, I'll get back to Moonhunters. Halcyon 6 is a sci-fi game that has just come out, I think. And it's got one part which is XCOM style base building with exploring rooms and building bits in it. Managing a bunch of officers, people who pilot your spaceships, who get their own independent skill points and quirks and stuff like that. And the other bit is you send spaceships out and do kind of Final Fantasy turn-based battles with other spaceships. It's quite cool. It's got a nice pixel-arty art style. I played 5 hours of that, and it started getting to that point where I've complained about in XCOM before, where things continue to ramp up and ramp up and ramp up. And I don't feel like I've got the time to just stop and chill and just do stuff with what I've got for a while. So
right.
I kind of got to that point, which is I'm at the interface between Tier 2 and Tier 3 out of, I think, 4 tiers of spaceships. And I kind of dropped it for that, but it was fun, the 5 hours that I have played. But yeah, those are the 3 games that I've touched on in the past 2 weeks.
Awesome. I actually have another one that I wanted to talk about for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, I decided to dive into itch.io for a little bit, which is it's a games distribution service. And I decided to, have a dig, see if I could find some free games to try out, or like dirt cheap games. And so this week, I got around to trying out this game right up my alley called Detective Chirpin's Private Investigator.
That sounds like a bird's name. Is that a bird character?
It is, in fact, a bird character.
Of course, this is a game you'd like. Brilliant.
It's a perfect fit. Listen.
Okay.
Listen, hear me out. This game feels like LA Noire meets Birds, which is exactly everything I could ever want. Because I enjoyed the shit out of LA Noire. And I also just love birds. And this game has an adorable art style. And it has some really goofy, cheesy noir writing. And I enjoy it very much.
So what is that art style?
Very, very... I'm going to describe it. Very exaggerated, very cartoony, very big. I'll send you the page so you can take a look at it.
2D, 3D?
2D, yeah.
2D. So
it's most of the game is played like a visual novel.
Okay, so like comic panels kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've sent you a link. If you would like to see this for yourself, you can go to detective.itch.io/chirpums.
I see, yep. So not quite comic panels, but that kind of, illustrated style.
Yeah.
Almost looks like it's made out of layers of paper to me.
Yeah, it really does. And it's got like that kind of halftone, it's got a halftone look to it. All of the sprites are very detailed and just very pleasant to look at. I just enjoy this so much.
Yeah, I can appreciate why you like that art style. It is very cool.
It's about an hour long. It costs a whole $1 US.
So like $2 NZ probably.
No, closer to $1.15 or so. I bought this a while back.
Okay, we're better than I thought.
Yeah, I bought this a while back, and it's something I've been meaning to play. And this week I finally made some time for it.
Cool.
I think this coming week I'm probably going to try out. Well, I'll talk about this later.
Okay.
One sec. Autumn just had to sneeze, almost. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, so back to the show.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've really got visual novels. I've got the upcoming sequel to a game I played a couple of years ago. It was called Estranged. It's actually it was a game that had one act released so far.
I've heard
Appropriately, it's
of
just
that, but I
called
can't remember where.
Estranged Act One. And Act Two is currently in beta 2 years later.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to get around to this.
Fair enough.
I don't know how many acts there will be. It's possible that
Is
this
it
might be
second out of
it.
2 acts?
This
Or
entry is looking a lot kind of more brighter and colorful than the
okay.
original, but I really enjoyed the atmosphere of that first game. Yeah, I don't think. Well,
Cool.
it's
It seems
because
like quite
it's
a slow
a very
release
small
cycle for
team worked on it in the
chapter-based
first
game.
place. I think it's like one or two people at the most. So, like,
Yeah, it's fair
not a
enough.
lot. But
Mhm.
they've been slowly putting out this game. And yeah, I really enjoyed the
Yeah,
first act.
fair enough.
I've got a bunch of these, a bunch of visual novels, um, a couple supplemental games for upcoming stuff. So I'm looking forward to getting through some of this library. If you are on a budget and you want to play some new video games, I would highly recommend
Nice.
going to itch.io, looking for some free or just really cheap stuff because there is a lot of gold on there. Um, at the
Are there any other
moment,
games on there that
there's
you'd recommend?
one, which is it was a demonstration and preview of an upcoming dating sim style game called
Hmm.
Heartthrob Cafe. Uh, a dating sim, yeah. Well, I don't
Okay.
often play them
Dating
either,
sim.
but this one had a bunch of furries in it, so I
Can't seem to have
couldn't
played one of those.
resist. Um, that's a great question. I'd tell you if I had any understanding of dating sims at
How do they work?
all. I don't. This preview is more of a just a visual novel at the moment.
Okay.
It's kind of setting up the story of this cafe and all the cute characters who are in it. I enjoyed playing through it.
Okay.
Um, and that was free too. Heartthrob Cafe, a
Hmm.
close up. So that's the only other game that in my
So what was that
itch.io
called?
library that I've played so far.
Right.
But
Okay.
I'm gonna get around to some others.
Cool.
Yeah, holy shit.
Hmm. Yeah, I've still got a backlog on Steam to get through. I've got well, I'm never going to get through the whole thing. Who are we kidding? But I'm definitely going to, for
I'm gonna
example,
be
finish
getting through my
Undertale,
backlog
play
eventually.
through
I
the other ones I
swear
picked
it.
up, like Life is Strange and what are the other ones? I've got a few. Yeah, eventually it's very eventually for me. That's all.
Okay, that's a series you've been reading.
That's right. I'm also making progress in my book. I'm near the end of book 10 of the Wheel of Time now. So yeah. So I've been reading it all year. But when I was in high school, I read the first 10 books, and that was all there
So you
was.
are like,
And now I've almost finished the 10th
yeah, I
book,
was about to say
and
you are
there's
in uncharted territory now,
four
right?
more left, and the series is complete now. So I'm almost into uncharted territory, which is exciting for me.
Yeah.
Just about. I mean, like, for the past few books, I haven't remembered super well what's going to happen, so it hasn't been like, oh, this is next. I only remember some key events. The end of the last book, which pretty much this entire book has been dealing with fallout from, was huge. I'm so surprised I
Good.
didn't remember it. But yeah, it's been really enjoyable. I've been really like reading
Right.
more fiction this year. Hadn't really done it in recent years.
Man. Yeah, I am. I'm just. I'm having a think. as to
You're right.
what I want to hit. Because I'm sure. Okay, do you want to talk about more of what you've played?
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I've still got 2 games I've played to talk about as well. Yeah, because I got to get to Moonhunters, but also I'll talk about Monster Hunter a bit. So, like I said, I've got back into Monster Hunter a little bit, and I've tried out the 4th Hunter art. So one of the new things that was in this Monster Hunter is 4th hunting style is there's 4 different styles to choose from. Previously there was nothing like this, but now you can either do guild style, which is just what's been in previous games. One called Striker, which is you've got a slightly more limited moveset, but more access to the new special moves called Hunter Arts. Another one called Aerial, which again has a bit more of a limited moveset, but when you dodge, normally you just do a forward roll, now you jump, and if you hit a monster or a player when you jump, you leap into the air and can do like a jumping attack, and that can let you mount the monsters. So that's a fun one. And it changes a bit of your moveset as well. So I've been doing a bunch of those 3, but the one left is called Adept, and I'd kind of left that one because I thought, that sounds hard. The idea with Adept is if you dodge or block, if you're holding a weapon that can block, a monster's attack at like the last moment, you'll have a few invulnerable frames get you through the attack, and then you can do a counter attack. And all your most powerful moves are locked away. You can only access them through that counter attack. So like I thought, okay, that sounds hard, I'll just leave that. But now I've revisited it. Wow, it's a lot of fun. It's so satisfying to like do a counter attack, and I use the longsword weapon, which has an attack that powers it up like up 3 tiers, and the only way to access that now is either through the Hunter Arts or through the counter attack, and it's really satisfying, especially when you break a monster part or something. So I've been doing that again with my flatmate, and we've just been getting further on. So like I said, we're the highest Hunter rank now, so we can access, I guess, close to the top tier of missions. Like I said, the game has hinted at more. And we're working on more equipment sets and stuff, because that's what you do in Monster Hunter. And yeah, I'm kind of surprised that I got like probably 80 hours or something into this game without having really tried that other Hunter art. Then again, I guess I say that, and there's like 10 weapon types that I just haven't really used.
Yeah, Monster
It's hard enough maintaining the equipment that I do have in that game with the amount of money you earn, have to spend on upgrading stuff.
It's a lot of work.
It's what the game's about, right?
Totally works.
You get better gear to hunt stronger monsters, to get their bits to get better gear.
A good game to actually play.
Oh yeah. It keeps it quite goal oriented as well, because like when Ken, my flatmate, and I will go to play Monster Hunter, the first question is, okay, like what do you want to kill? What monsters' bits do you need to get whatever you're trying to get now? Because there's always something you're trying to get. You're either trying to like upgrade your current armor or weapon, or aim for a new set of armor or a new weapon or something. So you know what you need to do. So it keeps it kind of goal oriented that way.
And a lot of RPGs design that very much frustrates me is the amount of grinding that you have to do sometimes. And that's why I think I've mentioned this problem before, and it's why some games like Bravely Default just don't click. I felt like Monster Hunter really made it click, though, because it actually gave me like gameplay that I cared about.
Yeah, I mean, grinding that bugs me is when it feels like there's gated content you should be able to get to, but you can't because you got to spend some more hours doing stuff, right? Whereas in Monster Hunter, anything that's gated away is, it's going to sound bad when I say it's more of the same, but it's not like I can't do this kind of thing because I need to grind more. It's I am doing the same thing, and it's fun, and it gets harder as I do more, if that makes sense.
Again, thinking. You have one more game to talk about, eh?
Oh, okay.
Okay, you've gotta tell me more. Okay,
I
so
do. I
Mark,
kind of skipped over it, but
you
it's been
have
the
gotta tell
favorite
me
game
more
I've
about
played
this
this
Moon
week.
Hunter thing because I looked
So,
at it and it looks amazing, and I want to know more. Tell me more.
yes.
Elevator pitch. What's this game about? Why should I care?
It's so gorgeous. I love the art style so much. Okay, let me think for a moment. So, do you play as one of whichever character you pick? Your task is the moon's disappeared and you have to find it again. You have 5 days. You go to different areas and interact with the world, and in doing that, you build up the character's story. And you'll probably fail, and then your character's story gets set aside, and you've achieved a few things, and you'll start again, and you'll try again, and you'll have these new things. So, in my first playthrough, I've done one. I did it last night. It was so much fun. I didn't find the moon in the end. So essentially, I failed. Like, it didn't feel like a failure. It just felt like progress. But I hadn't completed the final objective. But now, when I start again, I'll have access to some new things. For example, now if I see a spirit, I can now speak to it because of one of the things I did during my playthrough. I've now got a couple of the two initially locked character classes I've now unlocked and stuff like that. So it's iteratively going through. I don't suppose roguelike's quite the right thing because it's not you play until you die. It's you have 5 days, which essentially means you go to 5 areas, and you do what you can in that time. And it's really great. I love the art style so much. Oh my god, it's gorgeous pixel art with really nice illustrated character art as well when people are speaking. And I really like the way you interact with the world to build your characters. So what happens all the time? There's combat in this game, and that's part of it. But also there's kind of I guess 3 different ways you interact with the world, or you can kind of combine 2 of them. 2 different ways you interact with the world. Let's say, basically, one is at the end of each area, you set up camp. You decide on an activity. You can hunt or stargaze or whatever, and that has an effect on your character's stats. The other is you interact with either a person or a thing in the world, and you get 2 options, and depending on which one you pick, it'll push your character towards one of several traits, like they might be patient or vengeful or foolish or wise. And this builds up your character over the 5 days from the things you do, and it writes a story about what they did at the end. And it's really satisfying to see that, actually. And yeah, it really clicked with me really well. And one thing I've done, because I like it, I really like this game, and I think other people should play it as well. So I've bought a gift copy on Steam to give away. I thought that might be fun. So if you're listening in and you want to try out Moon Hunters, it's on sale until the 27th of September. It's just under $12 New Zealand. But if you want to try not paying for it, if you contact us, and because I'm a space geek, I'm going to ask you if you contact us and just tell us your one thing you like about the moon. First person to do that, I will gift on Steam a copy of Moon Hunters.
We can't do just the first person though. We've got to give everybody a chance.
No.
Okay, fine.
I'm happy with it being the first person.
First person to send us an email. Tell us what you like about the moon. You get a free copy of Moon Hunters for doing it. So
email or Twitter or anywhere, we'll check if it's the first.
Let's make it email, just to keep everything in one place.
Okay.
Email. So our email is pausecastshow@gmail.com, and you'll hear that again at the end of the show. All right. So that's what you've played. I've talked already at length about Destiny.
Well, what you haven't said, though, is anything about this new expansion. What's up?
You know what? I would tell you if I had a clue.
Oh, really?
Here's the thing.
Okay.
Destiny's new expansion, this Rise of Iron thing, mentioned at the beginning of the show, This expansion is only available to people who have hit the level cap.
Uh,
Yeah. Which is fine. The level cap isn't excessively high. It's level 40. At level 40, I can start playing that.
but from what I know of Destiny, you can level to level 20, and then the next X levels are from your equipment, which you have to grind to get the right
That
equipment,
is not
right?
true anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the case in year 1.
Right.
The max level was 20. The Taken King increased it to 40.
Okay, I thought that increase was in terms of gear level.
Nope, that's in terms of your actual physical level.
Okay.
And then your gear level can hit, I believe the new cap with Rise of Iron is 385. It'll be 400 when the new hard mode raid launches. So that will be very fun.
Okay. So the expansion's out, and you've been playing the game, but you don't know about the expansion? What's up with that?
Yeah, I paid attention enough to Rise of Iron to know that it was going to be a thing that I would, need to continue to play with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh, wait, why did I just
would-
ask the question you just answered? Sorry. Also, I interrupted you. Damn it.
B, this is an expansion that adds a significant amount of story content
Mm-hmm.
and adds a new faction and all that sort of stuff. And I paid attention enough to know that, I'd need the expansion and would enjoy playing it very, very much.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know enough about it to know what the fuck is going on. I actually, there was an article on Point and Clickbait, one of my favorite satire sites, which had the headline, and I'm just going to look this up to make sure. Yeah, okay, I've got it in front of me. Millions of Destiny players eager to jump back into whatever the fuck is happening.
So is it quite a convoluted story then? Because it's kind of like a space fantasy more than science fiction, isn't it?
It is very much I'm going to call it science fantasy.
Okay.
It has elements of sci-fi, it has elements of fantasy, and it blends them together very elegantly, I would say.
Because from what I've seen, and again, this is not having played the game, but when my brothers played 50 days of it, I can't help but catch some glimpses. It seemed like it's fantasy with space dressing, if that makes sense.
There's a lot of that, I would say.
Like, there's magic and monsters and stuff around. You just happen to shoot them with guns on Venus and stuff.
Yep. At least some of that sounds about right.
Okay.
I very much enjoy how it goes about it, though.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean that as a criticism at all.
Yeah. I've also been in... I just enjoy the art direction that Destiny has so fucking much. And I enjoy the soundtrack that it has so fucking much. They are extremely good.
So that's another good thing about Moonhunters. I really enjoy the soundtrack it has as well.
Excellent.
There's a soundtrack edition on Steam as well, come to think about it. I don't have it.
Yeah.
But the music in that game, it's really nice.
Can I just say that I love it when games do that?
I
seriously do.
Yeah, you really do, don't you? Because you quite often go for that and we'll get the soundtrack. Because you listen to game soundtracks quite a lot.
If I have the option to get a game soundtrack with the game, I will 100% of the time. The reason is, most of these soundtracks are very good for casual listening.
Now, I was actually talking to my flatmate about this the other day. He had a YouTube video up that was someone's idea of top 25 Final Fantasy tracks. And it's like, okay, sure. And we kind of got to talking, lots of video games have got great music. That's one thing. But if you're listening to them for the first time just as music, it's missing a whole bunch, right? Because a whole lot of what makes a lot of this music really compelling is the memories it evokes. The first time you experienced it was in this really important part of a video game plot or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are certain tracks from games like Leaving Earth from Mass Effect 3 and The Price of Freedom from Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, which, like, if you just listen to it on, you might think, oh yeah, okay, that's kind of cool. But when I listen to them, I'm like, holy shit, I am crying and also want to play that game, because it's good music, but it also brings me back to that moment in the story, you know?
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with you on that.
No?
And in fact, actually, I'm just going to say no. I don't agree with you.
Okay. Why not?
I think that these, like, the reason I listen to a lot of these soundtracks is because they're just compelling listens on their own, even divorced from the context. Like, even divorced from the context of the game. I don't necessarily have particularly good memories associated with parts of, say, some of the Call of Duty soundtracks.
I don't mean to say that they're
Deus
not
Ex.
good music to listen to in general.
I know that's not what you're saying. I'm saying that I don't know if that's the reason why the game soundtrack is so compelling to me.
Okay.
I think it's just on the basis that it's good music.
Okay, I know it makes a really big difference to me. That sort of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like a lot of Final Fantasy X's music, like, I think it's good music anyway, but also I know that there's this whole extra wrapper to it because it brings me back to, oh, it's about this part of that story. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a common experience though, to associate music with a memory like that pretty strongly. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
I doubt that it's just you. It's certainly, like, not for me though, I guess.
Okay. Interesting.
Part of it is, but it's not the entire reason. I frequently listen to and kind of reference the Assassin's Creed 3 score as kind of just one of the scores I listen to. There's parts of it that, maybe they're kind of average, but there's a lot of it that's just really, really good music. It makes for a solid album to listen to. And it isn't a style of music that I get to listen to all that often.
So I'm trying to think. It's been a few years, but I can't think of any music from that game. I mean, clearly there was music in that game, but like I can't remember any piece of it in
Do
particular.
you remember the Opera House escape scene?
I didn't finish the game. I may not have got that far. Oh wait, that was at the beginning.
It's right near the beginning, dude.
I was thinking with the main character, not the prelude main character.
Yeah, during the prelude, that escape sequence.
Yeah, I remember a bit of it. Yeah.
That is one of my favorite pieces of original scoring.
Okay, I don't remember the music that plays during it. But like I said, it's also been a few years.
It's a lot of a slow build of strings and very, very low, high impact drums. And it all swells together in a really beautiful way.
Cool.
And I enjoy that piece a hell of a lot. There's also, in one of kind of the weirder video game soundtrack memories I have, and I'm gonna look this up to make sure that I get it right while I'm talking about it. During Destiny, there's a mission called Siege of the Warmind, in which you have to defend this AI. Now, this AI primarily communicates through music, and it expresses certain moods through its music.
Huh.
So people could, like, if it was playing a certain movement, like the people who used to live on Earth and ran this war mine, they would know that the AI was in some sort of danger. It was basically how this thing communicated in its entirety. And during the mission, the music that plays, and I'm looking this up real quick. It's by Tchaikovsky, who is a composer active. Oh, now I have to look this up too.
Before my time, I'm expecting.
Before
Well
both of our
before, well
times.
before. I recognize the name, of course.
Tchaikovsky, 1840 to 1893.
Right.
So mid to late 1800s was when Tchaikovsky was active as a composer. And one of his works is used in Destiny to great effect. It's this very kind of low, mournful tune with kind of your flutes and clarinets to start it all off.
Do you know what it's called?
Yeah, Tchaikovsky's Symphony Number 6.
Okay.
And it's one of my it's become one of my favorite things to kind of listen to because it does draw up those memories. But it's kind of a weird one because it's not any sort of original music.
Well,
it's not composed specifically for the game.
True. Yes, definitely. But I mean, in this case, it was meant to be a real thing from real history anyway, so that fits quite well.
And it was very, very well executed. Added to the mood of the whole moment, and it's made that composition. I've listened to it all a couple of times now. It's the entire symphony is roughly
15.5 minutes long. I've got a video of it going. It's 15.5 minutes, the video.
Yeah, it's 46 minutes long in my in the version that I have.
There's probably some clapping at the end of this.
Yeah, it's the first part with the clarinets and flute. Or it's possibly just clarinets, or maybe I'm getting this all wrong anyway. But those first kind of like notes that you start hearing as you get closer. Anyway, that's made this whole symphony kind of a favorite to listen to. Nice.
Yeah, it's exactly what I'm talking about, I think.
Yeah, it is. And again, that's not the only thing that it's not the only reason I listen to these soundtracks.
Absolutely.
Some of them are really good for just kind of keeping you driven along. Because part of that is it's their intent in the game to kind of focus you into a moment.
Yeah. I've seen some other interesting ways games use music as well. One I haven't seen in the game, but I've read about it last week. I've just sent you a link to it. In Divinity 2, I think it is. Yeah, Divinity Original Sin 2. So it's a sequel that I think is upcoming.
Yeah, it's coming out soon.
When you create and customize your character, part of the customization progress is, okay, what instrument do you want to take the primary role in the game's music? So in like important scenes and stuff, what do you want to come to the fore? And I think that's really interesting.
That is weird.
The person who wrote this article, actually, let me just check who it was, Kirk Hamilton on Kotaku. He thought it was a really good idea. I think I would really like to try that as well. I can see how it would make multiple playthroughs be quite distinct if you had different music with different characters that suited each of their personalities, you know?
Yeah. Wow, that's a cool feature.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Another one that I've seen it's quite different to that, but kind of interesting. I think I've seen this in Splinter Cell games mainly, is that there's not so much a set of tracks of music as it tries to decide which bits to play depending on what's happening. I mean, like, to some extent, lots of games do this, like Oblivion and Skyrim, where, like, combat music starts when you're in combat and exploration music is playing when you're exploration and stuff. Whereas Splinter Cell, it's like, a guy's getting close, better amp up the music a little bit because it's, like, tension and stuff. And that's done quite effectively, I think.
Okay, yeah. Talking of that, last year, one of my favorite game soundtracks was Metal Gear Solid 5. I nominated when I kind of do this end of the year Game Awards kind of post on my personal blog.
Oh yeah.
Just because it gives me a chance to reflect on the games I've played over the course of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It lets me write about them a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough.
And last year I gave it to Metal Gear. I gave the best soundtrack to Metal Gear Solid 5 exactly for that.
So it does the same thing, does it?
Its dynamic scoring is just so fucking good.
I must have experienced that when I played it, but it's just not the one that came to mind here. But yeah, it's really cool. It works really well in stealth games in particular, right? Because you're building the tension with the music. Am I going to get seen?
Exactly. And even just in general, Metal Gear's soundtrack was really good, with the exception of that one part. There's one part where the soundtrack is so very bad.
Which part is this?
If you had, I would tell you, but you haven't played it. It will become immediately obvious when you play it.
Okay, fair enough.
It is the end of chapter 1.
Wait, chapter 1.
Or act 1.
I've finished part 1.
Oh, you finished part 1?
That's as far as I got.
Metal Gear Solid 5 spoilers ahead, everybody. That scene where, actually, hang on, wait. Let's let the people who need to leave for Metal Gear spoilers do that. For the next, 30 seconds, I promise.
Okay.
There's this point in that where Skullface is talking to you as you ride in your car, and the music swells over him talking, and it is a song with vocals playing over a man speaking to you.
Yes.
The worst moment in any video game soundtrack I've ever heard.
Yeah, that was bad. And it
was extremely bad.
It's pretty rare, actually, for any video game soundtrack to have vocals in it where it's not like an actual, the characters are listening to a song moment, isn't it? I think usually when you've got vocals in video game music, it's because it's at a point where the character's also listening to the vocals. Or at least when it's an in-world song, like the Portal songs and stuff like that, where it's an actual character singing it. I can think of few exceptions. The only one that's coming to mind, is probably because of that Final Fantasy music video I just mentioned, is the One Winged Angel music in the final boss Final Fantasy VII, which has vocals, but it's not distracting at that point.
Right, yeah. I feel like most Kojima games kind of do it.
Oh, actually, that's a good one. So I just thought of the beginning of Snake Eater, that James Bond thing that they do.
Oh yes, the very James Bond.
That was really
Snake
cool.
Eater
Actually,
theme.
I really liked that.
Yeah, I enjoy that the Metal Gear games seem to have their own theme music. Like Metal Gear Solid 5's is "The Sins of the Father." Can I just mention?
Yes.
How much I love Metal Gear Solid. Okay, Metal Gear Solid 5 opens. More spoilers, I guess. This is right literally at the beginning of the game.
Even so, if you haven't played it, you don't want to spoil the opening.
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid 5 opens with the man who sold the world, covered by Midge-Ur.
That's right, I remember that.
And I remember booting this game up for the first time, and I knew that it was about, building a paramilitary company, essentially. And I was like, wow, what a thematically appropriate choice of song. You've established so much about the story in
and
that
setting, because it was
moment.
Contemporary.
Yeah, and the setting. But just about the story in general. Because it's about, essentially, a man who sells power. The man who sold the world, who sold control.
I've got that song in my head now.
This is what the promise of, a paramilitary organization would be. To sell you the world. And Metal Gear Solid 5 opening with that was a stroke of genius from Hideo Kojima. One of very few strokes of genius that occurred in Metal Gear Solid 5. There, actually, I say that game was designed so well.
Yeah, there are some bits which, Quiet is cringeworthy.
Come on,
Her
Quiet.
design,
Come on.
but yeah. Well, another minor spoiler, I suppose. Am I right that the only two women in that game turn out to be the same person? The would-be assassin at the start, and then Quiet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Yep.
realized that just the other day. I was like, oh, right, yeah, that's right. So what I thought were two female characters in that game, actually they were the same one. Never mind. She just
Yep.
only wears a bikini later.
Yep. Because things happen in that prologue. Oh man, some shit happens there, huh?
Yep. That is a weird section.
Oh, it's a weird thing that
But it's
happens.
compelling.
Oh, there
It's
was like
really compelling.
there was some Hitman shit going on. Garrote and everything. Oh man. And then that whole scene devolved into
The
I
whole
can't
prologue
talk about
mission
this.
for Metal
I
Gear
can't
Solid
talk
5
about
is
this. I'm
very
just gonna get
compelling.
fucking mad. Let's go to another topic so I don't get mad about the Metal Gear Solid 5 prologue mission for the 25th time.
Why are you mad
Not
about
only
it?
Oh,
Is
don't do it, don't do it. You are walking into a dangerous situation, my friend.
Is it the whale?
No, it's not the whale.
Okay.
That is the least of my fucking concerns with that opening
Really?
scene.
Because I found the opening scene really compelling.
Can I just say... Yeah, I'm gonna say this. Fuck it. That scene, that opening prologue scene...
I'm talking like the whole prologue mission, by the way.
I know, I'm
Okay.
saying that whole prologue mission is comparable to Modern Warfare 2.
I
Do
don't
you
know how to
remember
interpret
No
that.
Russian?
Well, is that the bit where they shoot up an airport? Because I've not
That's
played that, but I know about it.
correct. That's correct. I compare that sequence of Metal Gear Solid 5 to the No Russian mission in Modern Warfare 2.
So how does trying to escape a hospital compare to shooting up an airport?
I'm comparing just the level of civilian, like, military versus civilian violence.
Okay. Yes, there is a
I
lot
think
of that.
it was, in the way that it was presented in Metal Gear Solid 5, it was senseless, needlessly graphic, and overall wholly unpleasant to have to suffer through. I did not like that scene. It was not well written. It was not necessary. I could cut that entire sequence and still get, or at least at the very least, cut the sheer scale of civilian violence. Cut that out, and the game would be untouched. I hate that sequence so fucking much. It gets me so angry.
Because I thought it helped set the context for who the enemy was quite well.
I think you could do that without literally killing 150 people, don't you?
What do you propose they would have done instead?
I think you could still have had. You could have had. Had any number of things. Let's start with the hospital even just being like abandoned. Have enemies kind of stalking the halls. Have the man on fire coming at you. Like, you get all this context still, even if you just take the civilians out of the equation, you don't lose anything.
No, in that particular. If we're just gonna, I was gonna try to pick holes in that, but then that's just not going to be productive if we do that, and then it's going to be back and forth a lot.
That's productive.
Like if the hospital was just abandoned, it wouldn't make sense for them to be so spread out. They'd all just be coming for the place where Snake was at. Whereas because it wasn't, that's why they had them all spread out through the hospital and stuff.
I guess. No matter what, like, my mind isn't gonna change on the, like, level of, like, extremely graphic violence against innocent civilians in that entire sequence. They could have left it and made it significantly less graphic, and maybe I would have been a little bit more fine with that. But it literally does venture into gratuitous and kind of gore torture porn.
I don't have much gore in it, but it has been a while since I played through it. I've got the impression it left me with more than specific memories of there was this specific part. I've got a few of those, but I don't remember any bit that felt particularly gory.
All over. It really is. There is so much blood and gore in that scene. Anyway, that's enough of me being mad about Metal Gear.
Okay, what do you want to talk about next?
I've very much got a love-hate relationship with Metal Gear Solid 5.
Sounds that way. Best soundtrack, hate the opening sequence.
Hate that opening sequence. Love the systems that run the game. The staff system for the Mother Base is extremely good. I enjoyed it very much. But, yeah. That opening sequence just drives me fucking nuts.
Okay, what should we move on to?
What should we move on to? Well,
Hey, buddy.
Oh, is your cat coming at you?
He just came in the room, started licking his paw.
God. Cat. Cat. I don't know. Is there a specific design thing I want to hit this week? I really want to hit something else. I want to hit at least one other thing, and then what are we playing this week?
Okay.
I've mentioned this to you before privately, but let's kind of go with this.
Okay.
So, one of the other games I've been playing recently has been Batman Arkham Knight.
So that's so that's the third.
The third Rocksteady one, the fourth Arkham
Fourth one. So it was Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Origins was a prequel, and now Arkham Knight.
That's correct.
And Arkham Knight was the one that got pulled from PC because it was so buggy and then fixed and put back out.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's the version, I am playing the PC version.
Okay.
If you have a GTX 970, it's very good.
It's a graphics card, right?
Yes, that is a graphics card.
Okay.
It is about a 2-year-old card at this point now, I want to say. But it's very good on at least that card. I haven't tried anything lower. I run it on basically max settings.
Cool.
That game does some really interesting stuff with its story, and I don't mean with Batman. Batman is very bad. I do not like that little man.
No.
His gigantic forehead.
What?
He has a giant forehead.
Does he?
Oh my god, yeah. His forehead is like 3/4 of his head. That's what it looks like in every promo shot of him, at least.
Okay, I haven't noticed.
It's extremely bad. Batman is just a bad man to look at. But no, it does some really interesting stuff with narrative evolution.
How do you mean?
Its narrative starts out very kind of linear, much in the fashion of the previous Arkham games.
Yep.
Starts out with a very, very linear narrative, but as you go on, more and more of these side narratives start kind of revealing themselves and showing up around the city.
So these are quite small self-contained ones or something?
Yeah, like self-contained ones.
Okay.
And even just and some broader stuff like the Riddler is back.
Oh, he's always back in the background.
Yeah, he's got 243 challenges for you.
Oh god.
Yeah. And in order to get the best ending at that game, you have to get all of them.
That sounds boring.
Yeah, it does. At least the Riddler's challenges are entertaining for the most part. I will say that.
Okay.
His presentation is very entertaining in that game. There's some vocal effects that he has that make him glitch and sound like he's repeating, and modify his voice in very, very interesting ways, and make him into a compelling villain. But that's not the point here. The point here is that the narrative of Arkham Knight and all of the sub-narratives are all unraveling very, very naturally, and it's something that I haven't really seen done well in games to this point.
So do you mean like it's not focused on the player? Or how do you mean by
no,
naturally?
I don't mean it's not focused on the player. I mean, because no matter what, these stories only happen. Like, these stories only will go anywhere if you choose to engage with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just meaning in terms of how they're brought into the... There's some that have hooks in the main narrative. There's some that just are kind of casually revealed as you're going around the city. But they're all multi-part, cool little sub-narratives. And it's something I don't really see games doing, not even with like side quests in, your Deus Exes, your Witcher 3. I don't know. I'm just really enjoying that evolution.
Cool. I think there have been a few cases in like Oblivion when overhearing a conversation would trigger a quest, but I think most often that happened when the game registered that it overheard a conversation that was quiet enough that I didn't actually hear and added to my quest log.
Right.
Which is not ideal. And of course, Oblivion had the even worse way of introducing some of its DLC, where you install the DLC. Oh, suddenly in your inventory is a letter. You have inherited this from a long-lost relative who just died. And then there's like 5 long-lost relatives with different homes you inherit or something.
I remember playing Fallout New Vegas, and I own the version with all the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I have this with Fallout 3 as well. So I get out of the doctor's office in New Vegas, and I get out of the vault in Fallout 3, and you found this radio signal. You found this pack of items.
At least finding a radio signal makes more sense, at least, because in that case, it's like, oh, it's just started up and your computer found it. But when they all happen at once, right when you leave the tutorial area, it feels very contrived.
Oh, it feels so contrived. Oh. Oh, Jesus Christ. I just don't... Yeah. I don't like that. I would rather just see it once and never have to acknowledge it again, but no, beginning of every save file does the same thing. Like, guys, come on. You can do better than this, right? Right?
I think in a lot of those DLC things, there's not really much focus on, how do we introduce this really well? It's just introduce it in some shitty way and then focus on the rest of it being good. I mean, some of it, like the Brotherhood of Steel DLC before that 3 was good, but that was like good in its introduction. But really, that's only because previously, when you finished the game, it stopped, and then once you had that DLC, you finished the game and it didn't stop. So that should have been there anyway. But at least it wasn't. Oh, you've found these 5 radio signals at once for that one. We were talking about this today, about how despite having heavily modded. Played heavily modded versions of like Fallout 3 and Oblivion and done a bit of modding as well. But when it comes to most games, especially narrative-driven games, I feel like I want to play an unmodded version of it. Like, I feel like I should get the developer's intended experience almost, which feels silly in some cases where it's like the developers are really... encouraging and supportive of the modding community. Like I was talking to you about this in the context of Kerbal Space Program, which I've been waiting for the upcoming 1.2 release to add a new feature that has been available in a very similar thing has been available as a mod for ages, but I haven't got that mod. I've just been waiting for it to be an official thing, which almost feels silly, but it's what I've ended up doing.
Right.
I mean, for narrative games, I can talk myself into it a bit easier in that, like, okay, yeah, first playthrough narrative, I'm not going to add any mods because I want to get what the game was meant to be, and then on a subsequent playthrough I can do it. But it's a bit funnier for Kerbal Space Program, where there's no narrative, there's no end goal really. You don't finish a game with that. It's a sandbox.
Yeah.
Even if it does have progression in it.
Here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
A question for you. Something that I've kind of struggled to do at times with certain games is to find fun in the sandbox. I always feel like people are doing so much more interesting stuff than I am constantly. And when there's no narrative to drive me around, I feel very lost. So like Minecraft, I get
was just thinking Minecraft.
Yeah, Minecraft. I get the appeal of it, and I enjoy like the core kind of loop of going around collecting supplies and surviving. But then I get to the point where I'm like, I've got a steady, tiny setup, and I'm like, okay, now what? I don't know what I should be doing.
Well, that's exactly the question. You have to answer that now what, right? You have to have a goal to do to keep you interested. I enjoyed Minecraft most when I was playing it with someone else, and the person I was playing it with, she loved doing the mining stuff, which I didn't like doing, so like she'd supply the materials I'd build with it was a lot of how that game ended up being, and that was a lot of fun. We'd have like, oh, well, we want to build a new base over here for this, and then, oh, now we have to link them up with a railroad or something like that.
Right.
Keeping it goal-oriented helps. Kerbal Space Program does a good job of that, in that its campaign mode is basically you get a bunch of contracts that you can enter into that are like, oh, achieve this goal within this time and you'll get this reward. And it's like, oh, leave the atmosphere for the first time. Oh, orbit the moon. Oh, land on the moon, whatever. That sort of stuff. And it keeps it goal-oriented, which definitely helps with the sandbox stuff. I can understand feeling lost when the game isn't telling you have to do this. Because if the goal is just survive, surviving's easy. It's doing something more interesting that makes the game something you want to stick with.
Yeah.
I guess some people might think, oh, the goal of Minecraft is to beat that dragon in that other dimension or whatever.
Which by all technicalities it is.
I mean, okay, I know they call it the end.
That's the end game. That's the end game.
Like, we were playing on peaceful. We didn't have monsters. We didn't worry about fighting monsters. We set our own goals of what we wanted to build instead, and I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Building and exploring as well.
Yeah. What advice would you give to me to help me find the fun in a sandbox?
Have a goal, any goal, so long as it's not something you're going to achieve in 5 minutes, and then you can work backwards and see the steps you need to do to reach that. Okay. Like, if it is, thinking in Minecraft, if I want to go and build a base if I want to get a whole bunch of sandstone so I can build something like that, then I need to explore first and find a desert. Then I'm going to build up something in a desert to keep me able to survive there, and then I can go and get a bunch of sand there. But then I want to link it up to my original base again, so I'll be doing that either with a road or with minecarts or whatever, and then I'll need the materials for that. Oh, and I might need a horse, so I've got to go find a horse to get. So you get one goal, and then you work backwards to get all the other steps, and keep yourself driven towards the goal. That can keep you doing something in a sandbox. If it stops being fun, either get a different goal or a different game. Because if it's not fun, what's the point in playing it?
And with that, I think it's time that we go out. We enjoy some new video games.
Well, what are you going to be playing this week?
Well, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just said new video games.
You're going to be playing not new video games?
Here's the thing. I'm going to be playing older video games. I'm going to be playing some Destiny this week. I'm going to play some itch.io games, like I mentioned earlier in the show. Do
you think you'll get to that level 40 new content point in Destiny?
Easy.
Oh, okay.
I'm already level, I want to say 29.
Oh, okay, right. I wasn't sure how long it took.
No, if you wanted, you could probably get back up to level 40 in 5 or 6 hours if you really wanted to go at it.
Oh, okay, cool. That's
you could power level with some people. That would make it even go faster.
Oh yeah, I did that with my flatmate with the latest Diablo 3 season.
Yeah.
Because in Diablo 3 you get up to max level in like 2 sessions.
My girlfriend's actually been power leveling with one of her friends.
In Destiny?
No, in Diablo.
Oh, in Diablo. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How long did it take you to reach max level? How long did it take you to reach max level?
In what?
Destiny? Or, sorry, Diablo.
Oh, Diablo? Well, it depends.
When you were power leveling earlier.
Oh, getting power leveled by Josh?
Yeah.
Well, Josh isn't exactly, like, the biggest, baddest person, so it took about 30 minutes. But
Wow.
you can get power leveled in Diablo 3 and 15 if you have someone who's, like, running Greater Rifts 80+.
There you have it.
And solo, if you know what you're doing solo, you can power level solo with one other person also starting a new character in an hour from 1 to 70 with 2 level 1 characters. If you know what you're doing.
So
I don't know what I'm doing because I cannot do that.
From 1 to 70 very easily.
So I've just asked my girlfriend how long it took her to power level, and she said about 30 minutes to get from level 1 to 70 in Diablo 3.
Okay, it took me several hours, but I was doing it on my own, so maybe that's my excuse. It was a fun several hours.
Diablo, pretty good.
You've played several seasons.
Well, not just that. I've played Diablo. I've played every single Diablo game. It's my favorite franchise. Like, if you need to know something about Diablo, I'm a pretty good source.
The only thing you can't answer is, does it have controller support, and is it any good on console?
I can't really answer that because I'm a PC nerd.
There you go. All right. I think that is going to do
More
it.
Destiny.
Yeah, some more Destiny. It's going to do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And some itch.io games. I am going to play probably Breach and Clean.
That's an odd name.
Yeah. Here's what it was like. Here's what it's here's the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
It's cleaning out. You have to clean a hotel, but you have to breach into the room with explosives and then clean it and leave before the guests get angry.
Where are they in the room?
Yep.
Wouldn't blowing the doors up get them angry? And also cause a huge mess?
Yeah.
Are you just cleaning up after yourself?
I don't know.
Okay.
But this was based off of, this was developed by Rami Ismail.
Mm-hmm.
Who had something like this happen to him without the explosives. He had hung a do not disturb sign on the outside of his hotel door.
Mm-hmm.
Staff, like, as he tells it, 2 or 3 staff come into the room. They, with the efficiency of a fucking SWAT team, clean the room while he's in there and leave immediately afterwards. And this is what this video game, Breach and Clean, is based off of.
Okay.
So it's a comedy game, and and it's described as an authentic hotel maintenance simulation. It is free on itch.io.
Oh, it's free. Cool.
It is a free video game. It's got a low poly, very simple style, and it was created over the course of a few days during a game jam.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to playing that.
Nice.
I think that's going to be very much up my alley.
Mm-hmm.
It's very goofy. I'm probably also going to try the 2 Night in the Woods supplemental games. And these games they're meant as additions, I guess, to the upcoming game Night in the Woods, which is a narrative-focused... I don't even know what to call it yet. I know that one of these supplementals is a ghost story that takes place in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a retelling of a folk tale. And
Okay.
I know that the main game itself is about kind of a college kid who's trying to find their way in the world. And everyone is animals. And there's something sinister going on in the woods.
Right.
So, it's been in development for a few years. out of a studio based in Pittsburgh in the United States.
Okay.
About 3-4 people working on it. And I'm very excited about that. So I'm going to finally get around to playing these supplementals.
Nice. So is the full game nearly out then? Nearly ready?
Full game is coming out in October,
Okay.
I want to say. I'm just going to confirm that. I'll cut this. No official launch date yet.
Okay.
I don't think. At the very least, the site hasn't been updated with one. Let me check the Kickstarter to see if that would have it, because if anything, it would. I'll read you a quick summary of Night in the Woods as well. College dropout May Borowski returns home to the crumbling former mining town of Possum Springs, seeking to resume her aimless former life and reconnect with the friends she left behind. But things aren't the same. Home seems different now, and her friends have grown and changed. Leaves are falling, and the wind is growing colder. Strange things are happening as the light fades, and there's something in the woods.
Okay.
In 2016, join May on a trip through her hometown and into the dark on the other side. And the tagline is, at the end of everything, hold on to anything.
Okay.
So, this has got me very excited.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know when Night in the Woods is going live,
Okay.
but I'm excited about it.
Nice.
How about you, though? I've talked enough about video games I'm playing this week. I've talked enough about video games at all, really.
Well,
I should just stop.
For.
I should stop now. I should let you talk. What are you playing this week?
Definitely more Moon Hunters.
Okay.
It seems it's kind of episodic in the way I can play it, because I can just do like a run and leave it at that, and that's kind of like a night's worth of gaming for me. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to playing more of that. Getting closer to finding the moon again. It was really, really a lot of fun last night. I'll be trying different things with different characters as well, which would be cool. Aside from that, I'm not really sure. I'm sure there will be some more Monster Hunter, especially since I don't just play it on my own. But aside from that, I'm not sure. Might end up picking some other things, but might not.
All right. That's going to do it for us this week, I reckon. Thank you for listening with us and bearing with us as we missed a week for episode 15. There's just shit happened, and we didn't end up getting an episode recorded. I'm sorry for that. We hope that the extra long episode this week has made up for it. Mark, where can people find us on various forms of social media?
So we're on Twitter at PauseCast Show. Facebook, we've got a group, facebook.com/groups/PauseCast Show. And you can email us at pausecastshow@gmail.com.
All right. And that email as well, if you want a free copy of Moon Hunters, send us something that you like about the moon. And maybe send us some questions as well. When we have questions, we will read them on the air and answer them for you. So there's some questions about, like, what do we think about this particular thing about game design? Or you want to tell us a cool story about something that's happened to you in a game. We'd love to hear from you. Seriously.
Absolutely.
Get in touch with us. PauseCastShow@gmail, at PauseCastShow. You can find us on iTunes, bit.ly/pausecast-iTunes. And if you are subscribed to us on iTunes, thank you, first and foremost. Second, please consider giving us a rating and review. It helps other people find the show, and it makes us feel good, too. You can also find us on Pocket Casts, if you have that and you're not already using it. pca.st/PauseCast.
It's your podcast client of choice, isn't it?
Yep, that's my client of choice. And I will always recommend it. All right. I think that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.